3, 2, 1, and welcome back to episode 28 of Chasing the Racing, hosted by the two Geordie bike racers. Sat opposite me, the lovely Dom the Bomb Herbertson.
And opposite me is Indiana Jones. How we doing? How we doing, lad?
Not too bad. How are you?
I tell you what, right? The shame you can't get fat, because we'd even give them hairy bikers a run, wouldn't we? Well, I can't cook. Can you cook? Well, look at the size of your man. I've seen 8 victims with more weight than you. You know what I mean?
I get well looked after by me mum, so I'm a bit spoiled, to be honest. I never really get a chance to cook. But anyway, episode 28, we're back, and we're sponsored by Incontango Training, the leading risk, finance and treasury consultancy, but more importantly, bike racing fans. And also, we've got another sponsor. Our very first sponsor on the show, I think it was Kyle Gowland, KRG Motorcycles.
Oh, yes, the
And,
concert suspension specialist.
That's the one. He sponsors your mate Chicken as well, doesn't he?
Oh, the chicken chop. We're going to have to get him on as a guest, I'm telling you, because that lad has got some serious amount of crack.
Aye.
Oh, wait, he got stabbed like six times in one sitting.
I remember
that's County Durham for you. There you are. That's out in Crook.
Anyway, KRG Motorcycles, based in Consett, County Durham, that offer all aspects of motorcycle services and repair, from superbike and race bike builds to everyday commuters. We also specialise in suspension building and are the biggest authorised K-Tech dealer in the northeast for road and race. We would like to offer all podcast listeners 10% discount across the board. Just mention the podcast when making your booking. Search KRG Motorcycles on Facebook and check out the 5-star reviews. So that's a very generous 10% discount to all the Chasing the Racing podcast listeners. So if you're in the local area, anywhere around the northeast, get yourself over to KRG Motorcycles.
And if you're not local, it's a thing called the Royal Mail, 21st century. Get it used. Just give them a ring, put it in the post, and tell them how fat you are, and you'll set the bike up round you. There you are.
So thanks very much for coming back on a sponsor, and on with today's show.
Sorry, I'm having a great time with these headphones. You can hear everything you do. Fart, whistle, drop keys, anything. This is great. We've got like a sound effects bar now. It's mint, isn't it? Go on, Chrissy. Keep this episode on track. I had a coffee 4 minutes ago, so I'm anyone's at the moment. So carry on.
So we're... Obviously, we've had BSB this weekend, the final BSB down at Brands Hatch, cracking racing all weekend, and it was a bit of a
all weekend, Chrissy. You've it was an entertaining one for you. Needless to say, wasn't it?
It was a dramatic weekend for us. So we'll get into depth about all of that and all the Superbike finale and all that type of stuff. You've got a bit about, is it the Western Beach Races?
No. I was speaking to Fran Counton, James Counton's dad, and he was telling us about how Neil Martin, who's James's mechanic. I have to get all my facts right here. And I was just, you bring people up and have the crack, and obviously I'm gonna have to look into it in a bit more detail. But stuff like the Western Beach Race, it's like, we've touched on it so many times before, there's that many disciplines in motorcycle racing, you kind of just take it for granted. Everyone just thinks you're under the same umbrella. But the Western Beach Race, well, what do you know about it?
I've nothing, to be honest. I know there's a lot of starters, but other than that, I know nothing.
Exactly, and I'm in the same boat. Now, Fran was talking about his mate. Now, in one class, right, there was 1,000 starters. 1,000 starters in a race. No practice, no qualifying, and they build the course beforehand.
Oh, dear.
A lap, bearing in mind, is 20 minutes long.
Bloody hell.
I can do a lap with without blowing smoke up my arse, but I can do a lap in 17 minutes. No, that's a lie. No, sub 17 minutes, sorry. It's sub 17 for, anyway, different detail. But you're thinking, and it's £25 per person, right, to go watch the Western Beach Race. They get over 60,000 spectators. That's just spectators. And apparently each entry, now, if you book up for next year now, apparently the entry is like 80 quid. This is what I've been told. And the closer you get to the time, you can pay up to £200. And that was one class, man. 1,000.
So is that like an endurance bike?
It's an endurance race, yeah. So obviously, like, I think you fell victim to this as well. I think a fair few people are getting their bikes pinched. Obviously, you'll go into that a fair bit more detail later on your post.
I was going to say that's my next thing. Obviously, well, within the BSB crack, we'll get onto it. But my bike was nicked. My paddock bike was nicked at the weekend, so we'll get onto that. And also, the TT0 race has just been announced that it's going to be cancelled for the next 2 years. So we'll get on to a bit about that. But before we get on to the topics, have you been up to much this week? You're looking like you've been scrapping with your eye. I don't know if you can see off the on the old face tube.
I literally look like a chunky version of Action Man right here. Now, like, no, I've been playing with my chainsaw a bit too much. Got a hold. It wasn't the chain. Anyway, you get kicked back and the chain brake comes on. It just went whop, bang, straight in the side of my head. But obviously with the helmet on, it's just the pressure's just cut the lid and just hit me in the side of the head.
Tell you what you look like. Did you ever used to watch Ali G in the house?
No.
They do a thing for...
well, obviously I've heard of him, but I've never watched it.
There's like a youth club thing, and they get, like, instead of badges, they get slits in the eyebrows. And there's a kid called Tyrone. He's got all of his eyebrows slit. That's what you look like.
Tyrone. There we go. So yes, let's.
So you've just been busy at graft.
Oh, mate, it's ridiculous. Like, I'm like, what time is it? What day is it? It's Wednesday, the 23rd of October. It's 5 past. We're in a dodgy little gay porn shoot here again. Everyone loves it. Yeah, did you see that bloke on Twitter who what's his name? And he put a photo of you and me up on obviously watching it on YouTube on his couch with a cup of tea or something. And oh man, you were telling about this, man. What was his name? That's terrible, that. He's obviously a fan, because obviously his wife came in and went, "Are you watching two blokes sitting down chatting shite in a caravan?"
Well, that's it with it being on YouTube now. Obviously, you can, if you want to watch it, you can. And obviously, most TVs these days, like smart TVs, you can get YouTube straight on them. So if I don't know if it's a better experience watching it as well as listening, but I was actually going to say this month we've had the strongest month we've had on the podcast to date. We're on just over 6,000 downloads in October, which is really strong for our young podcast. So thanks to everyone that's been logging on and listening and downloading. Because
how long has it been going now? Well, hold on, we're 28 episodes, so that's 28 weeks, but obviously not back to back.
I think it was the beginning of the season we started it, wasn't it? Like, sort of, it was January, February, something like that. I don't know, but
it all blurs, doesn't it? that it's been a lot of long nights, a lot of coffee, and going from there.
And then our final thing we'll talk about topic will. You're heading off racing yourself this weekend, so straight from here down the country.
Well, that was the mad thing, because obviously, in round about 35 minutes, so I think this is going to be the world's shortest podcast on our behalf. But I'm going to have to be in the van and off I'm going. So we've got a fair bit of crack to squeeze in. So how long have we been going here now?
8 minutes.
Oh God, we're going to have to. Okay, right. We'll have to stretch this out. We're going to be late. But no, I'm heading down the country to pick up a bike to take over to Northern Ireland.
To go for the sunflower?
Yeah, the sunflower, but I'm not racing it. It's obviously my mate's over there, Roy Armstrong, one of my personal sponsors. He's like, when you come over, could you fetch his bike over? I'm like, I know, bother. So I'm having to drive from here. Well, I've been working in Scotland again today, so driven to here. And then, well, the pair of us were supposed to go to the North Yorkshire for a sponsorship seminar.
Aye.
Which is brilliant, isn't it, by the club to set that up, because trying to get sponsors in this game, and we've rabbited on about it, and it's something that we're going to continue rabbiting on about. But anyway, that got cancelled. So my plan is to still head down, staying at the Prince Rupert Hotel. That's one of my friends' houses. Staying down there, then spinning back round, heading up to Kenryan, back up to Scotland, getting on a ferry and heading over, and then hopefully racing this weekend. Spot
on. And have you seen? In fact, we'll get on to talk about the sunflower as our final topic. So straight on with the first. You're like a little kid with that microphone.
Sorry, Dad. Jesus.
First of the topics. Obviously BSB this weekend. Final race the final 3 races of the season for the super bikes, and obviously for the those people that follow BSB, they'll have seen that Scott Redden took it's his rookie season, managed to wrap up the championship by 5 points, and he didn't actually win a race over the weekend, but he did enough to. I think he came into the round with a 28-point lead, something like that. Yeah, 28 points.
Which is a nice foundation to step into.
Exactly. And he finished, I think it was third in the first one, which reduced the gap down to 19. I think, yeah, 19. Then it came down to about 14, and then he followed Josh Brookes home for the final race of the season, and took the championship. So, obviously he came in this season from MotoGP. We discussed it at the beginning of the season.
Well, we set a poll, didn't we?
Yeah.
And it was a bit. Now hold on. We'll have to look back at our own archives here. But what did you say? What was your prediction at that time? What was my prediction?
I can't remember, to be honest. But
you see, that's it. We're just a bunch of turncoats now. It's like, yeah, we always knew he was going to bloody win it. Blah blah blah. But no, because obviously a lot of people from the word go doubted him, and you do.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually shocked me even again there to find this is his rookie season in BSB.
Mm-hmm.
Just you remind me, because I can't remember. I haven't even watched the final race, and I've been busy cutting trees, but. What was he do? Did he just go straight into Spanish?
Well, yeah, from being a young lad, so he did the Metricat racing when he was really young, and then he went straight over to the CV in Spain, did all of his racing in Spain.
Ah, right.
Red Bull rookies, then went into the MotoGP paddock when he was 15. He was the youngest ever Grand Prix winner at Donington Park when he was 15 and a half or something.
Yeah.
He actually beat Marc Marquez in that. I think Marc Marquez was on the podium in that race, but
was that the Moto 2? No, Moto 3.
It was back when it was 125s. So
right. Right.
Let's say he was the youngest ever Grand Prix winner. Then obviously went through the ranks. He had quite a successful campaign on the Mark VDS bike in Moto 2 a good few years ago, and then he's had a few sort of relatively unsuccessful years in MotoGP over the last few years. And I think he just got to the point in his career where he wasn't enjoying it. He wasn't going to be getting a top ride for the following year, so he had no chance of winning or being successful. So he sort of took a back step in his career to come back to BSB. Obviously joined the best team, Paul Bird, on the best bike, and he's done the job. You can't take anything away from him. He's been up against a strong opposition in his teammate Josh Brookes, who's obviously had immense what's the word, experience in the British Championship. He's been doing superbikes for years, knows the tracks. Obviously they were both new to the Ducati, and you can't take anything away from him. He's done a superb job going to tracks, difficult tracks like Cadwell Park, Knock Hill, Oulton Park, learning them very quickly, and then banging out the podiums, race wins, and it's turned out to be quite certainly from a team point of view, the Paul Bird team's totally dominated the championship this year, and more broadly the Ducatis. It's almost 3 Ducatis in the championship, first, second, third in the championship. A lot of the races they've been first, second and third. It has been the most dominant display of one manufacturer in a long time that I can remember. So yeah, it's fantastic for Scott to come back, win the championship, and then step straight back up to World Superbikes in the factory Ducati team. So
he'll be getting more cheddar, won't he? I heard he got paid $300,000 for this season.
300 grand wages from the team. That sounds about right, and then a lot more in sponsors. So
I heard he got paid. You see, that's the thing. You base everything upon the rumour mill, don't you? But the current rumour mill was he got paid $100,000 from Paul Bird, $100,000 from Ducati.
I'd be on a lot more than that.
And then $100,000 from someone else, and then his personal sponsors, man.
Yeah, I think altogether he'll be on a hell of a lot more than that. But he'll. But he's winning. He's doing the business.
And you've got our previous guest, Keith Farmer.
I know.
You know what I mean? 4 times British champion.
Mm-hmm. I know.
I know, not MotoGP yet, right? But
I know what you mean. It's very tight on track. But there's a massive difference. But it's like that with anything. You think of boxers, and you'll have 99% of boxers are getting their heads filled in for £50 in some crappy.
Hold on. You get your head filled in for £50. What am I doing? Cutting trees.
And then 99% of people are the training like hell, getting their faces kicked at punched in, and then there'll be like one person at the top who's like Floyd Mayweather, who's, you know, his watch collection's worth like 200 million quid or something. It is like life's like
look
that.
at the draw.
And
Like,
you
go
know,
on. What's life like? Go on.
I'm saying life's like that, isn't it? Like the winner takes all, and Scott's came in, done the business. He'll have earned the most money, and he'll be straight up to World Superbike. So, you know, fair play to him. And
what do you reckon? How do you reckon he'll fare in Worlds?
World
Obviously,
Superbikes.
with the extremely dominant, scary dominance of Jonathan Rea.
Yeah, I certainly think the bike's up to it. I think the Ducati World Superbike.
Because who was the guy on it previously? Bautista.
But yes, Bautista and
What
Chaz
the hell
Davies.
happened to him? What happened to Chaz Davies? There's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Chaz actually came on really strong towards the end of the season. He struggled with the changed bike, so they were on the new V4 this year, and at first it looked like Chaz struggled to adapt to it, but towards the end of the season I think he did the double at Laguna Seca and had a few podiums towards the end of the year, but you know, obviously Bautista went massively off the boil, went from totally like the most dominant display in the first 10 races or so and then huge championship lead, and then he just couldn't stop crashing and massive swing. Obviously Jonathan Rea ended up taking the championship, but Bautista's off to Honda on the new V4 for next year, so it'll be interesting to see. You know, Honda, like we've spoke about quite a few times, they've done very, very poorly in World Superbikes over the last good few years.
Well, to be fair, in all classes.
Yeah, especially like
obviously
Superbikes.
Bar MotoGP, obviously Marquez could ride a donkey to the podium, but obviously even take that to the side. You know, it's their base product, their absolute base product is crap. It is, at the end of the day, like it is, man. Oh, I'm not riding for Honda. I'm definitely not going to be riding for Honda after slagging them off now. But it's no. But the truth is, you know, you can go buy a BMW. Like BMW, they're not on. Well,
I know you say it's crap, but if you look at like the Padgett's bikes, you always say.
Hold on. Let's touch on the Padgett's bike. Why are the Padgett's bikes quicker than the Honda factory team's bikes?
I never race against them, so I don't really see.
But when
they are faster.
That's the fact. You know, like Clive Padgett, currently he's Mr. Honda, and their team, the Padgett's team, put together better Hondas than the factory Honda team. that they are proofs in the pudding, proofs in the results. And the Ulster Grand Prix, like speed trap at 209. Was it not 209? No, it wasn't 209. Anyway, it was faster than Hickman's. Like and faster than what do you call him? Dean Harrison's bikes. And he's like 18,000 feet tall. And he's got, but he's
that is incredible when you think about it. You know,
there we are.
Like you said, the Honda, the Fireblade is an unfashionable bike now for superbikes.
It's an old bike.
It's very old.
But they haven't really updated it. It's like the most current bike out there is the new BMW. You know, R1 have done the same as Yamaha have done the same as Yamaha, and all they're doing is just spicing up their current chassis, their current, like putting different internals so they can actually play with them further down the line as far as engine tune's concerned. But BMW are the only bike out there. Obviously, look at what Ducati did. They literally spun the thing on its head. BMW have done that, and they've just totally. They're taking leaps forward. They are not scared to take gambles. But saying that, are they gambles? You know, these are calculated. You know, these are calculated decisions. But like Honda, my God, I'm begging Honda to be right at the front, because really, last Honda, everyone remembers your last performance. That's life. That is life, especially in sport. Everyone remembers your last performance. Now, Honda's last big push, Honda themselves, spat off a national treasure, Guy Martin, and put the TT legend McGuinness on a golf course by the 9th hole with a broken leg, with a throttle jammed open and a box full of, and Guy Martin had a box full of neutrals.
It certainly wasn't a good launch for the latest bike, but like I said, they are bringing a new one out, and obviously it's looking like Glenn Irwin's going to be riding that in BSB, but also on the roads as well, so might be coming at the TT next year on the new Honda.
It'll be interesting to see who is actually taking that next seat over, because Dave O'Johnson, who's riding at Macau for Paul Bird,
is he?
He was on the
didn't know that.
Ducati. It's him and McGuinness.
Right, I didn't know that.
They're on the Ducatis. My God, I know something about motorsport that you don't. Get in! Victory for Dom. But so at the moment, you see, like I said, the current rumour mill, it's a bit like I've heard Davey Todd is taking the next Honda seat with Glenn.
All right, okay.
But Todd's proven himself, you know what I mean? The lad is an extremely fast rider.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's had, because when he came on the pod, he was telling us he's been racing since he was 6. He's got the pedigree, he's got the professionalism. And you think, you got to look around the pond that we're in at the moment, and you think, well, if people like Todd aren't moving up, there's no hope for the rest of us. And that's the truth of it, isn't it? But if it's a case of Glenn Irwin coming into the roads, which is pretty much like, he's admitted it, obviously that was with Tycho, but the rumour is it's Todd, and I hope it's Todd that takes that next spot. But then we're totally wheeling off onto a different subject here, and you hate it when I do this. But then, at the moment, like JG Speedfit are currently pulling out a BSB. What are they doing for roads? James Hillier, a consistent podium finisher in every class. What's he doing for a job?
Mm-hmm.
John McGuinness is suspiciously quiet. Like, is he carrying on Norton, or Norton even going to be there? Norton are normally quite very vocal about the future.
Mm-hmm. I've also heard that Tycho aren't sure if they're going to be doing the roads next year as well. So that's
never, right? See, that thing is, we are like here on Chasing the Racing, but you just hear the same. Everyone hears the same rumours and slightly, same shit with different glitter on it, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that's the current state at the moment. But how, like Tycho, Irish team, proper, like they are. Irish team.
I have heard that they're not going to be road racing next year, but to be honest, knowing Hector Neal, it's his big thing, the TT, and I cannot see them not doing it myself. But that's just what I've heard.
So at the moment, like the way I see it, it's a bit like Dave O'Johnson hasn't announced with the Honda. Hutchie acquired Hutchie's a fast Hutchie. People don't realise that about him. Obviously, he's turning up at a track days in his helicopter. He's like a bloody farmer, man. Oh, we've got no money in the sport. He turned up in a bloody helicopter, man. But anyway, so Hutchie hasn't announced. Dave O'Johnson, 2 Honda riders. So there's 2 seats already gone.
And if you think Glenn and Davey are going there,
well, that's what I've heard. But anyway, if that's going, where are them 2 going? McGuinness, what's he doing? James Hillier. The most loyal man, quite frankly, the most loyal man and consistent and the fastest lad out there. What's he doing? Lee Johnson's obviously, you never know with sponsors, but obviously Lee will be staying with his team, Ashcourt, and then obviously Peter Hickman's already signed with Smiths. Don't fix something. Like, don't try and fix something that's not broke.
Who's riding for Lee Johnson's team at Macau?
Gary Trevor Johnson.
Yeah,
middle name Trevor. Yeah, I tell you what, the entry list came out and you find out who everyone's like middle name, or like Paul Jordan, right? His middle name's Alan. I can't look him in the same. You know what I mean? He's a good looking lad, and I'm like, Alan, all right. So anyway, but there's a few, especially on the road side of thing already. We're not even in November, and there's a lot of questions getting thrown about. And you think, well, it's, yourself, now that Redden's gone, who's taken Redden's spot? You see what I mean?
I think Forres is going. I think Forres is possibly going to be on that Ducati.
I've heard on the route. We're going to have a segment called the Rumour Mill, but the Rumour Mill is they're not even going to Ducati anymore. Poor bird.
I very much doubt that.
Well, I would doubt that as well. They've got a working package, but Paul Bird,
by far the best bike. Best 2 bikes on the grid. They've never had it. They've never done a 1-2 before this year.
No, they've never done a 1-2. But you see, Paul Bird, right? I've never met him personally, but that is a man who delivers on a promise. He will grab any manufacturer. And he knows business. The man knows business. I'm going to buy the bike. I'm going to chuck the most money in, and I'm going to get the fastest lads, and I'm going to win championships. So,
I tell you what, I have heard. Speaking of Ducatis and BSB, I've heard Luke Stapleford's going to be buying his own Ducati for next year and running it himself. So he used to run the Profile Triumph team, his own team, I think it's his dad's business Profile Logistics, and I'm pretty sure he's buying
Is
his
that
own.
the guy who took his foot off mid-corner?
Yes, yeah.
What on earth was that about? Obviously
I don't know,
worked. He
but it
won
worked.
championships. That's it, aye.
I think he's going to be buying his own Ducati and running a one-man team in Superbikes next year. So if they don't change the rules, the Ducatis are so good at the moment that I would expect, him to be much more competitive than what he has been this year on the Bill Bay Suzuki.
Do you reckon there'll be some changes?
The old Rumour Mill.
The old Rumour Mill, but you see, the fact is, something's going to have to change. Stuart Higgs, yet again, another man I'll probably never meet in my entire life, but he has made the fastest domestic series on the planet, which you're part of, you know what I mean? And that is because of the rules. And he's not scared of changing the rules to make things competitive and fair.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to happen? What is going to happen? Because he knows, well, it's down to the BSB, but everyone would like to see the balance back in the force, young one.
Yeah.
But
personally, I think in the interests of entertainment,
exactly,
I think that there needs to be something done, just because the dominance of the Ducatis at the moment is so strong.
Exactly.
And what you've got to think about is someone like Tommy Bridewell, who
did an amazing job this year.
Yeah, fantastic job. Him and the team, the Moto Rapido Ducati team. But if you look at his career, and he's rode for lots of manufacturers. He's been on the Taigo BMW, WD-40 Kawasaki, Halsall Racing Suzuki. He's been around a lot of years, and all of a sudden, when this season, where it appears that the Ducati is the strongest bike, he's on the podium nearly every week. Where you've got to look at, to me, you've got to look at him and someone like Bradley Ray and someone like Jason O'Halloran and Danny Buchan.
The whole field.
Has Tommy made that step, and has he improved that much, or is the Ducati giving him a bit extra that he's then using to his advantage? And to me, it just, in the interests of close racing, I do feel like the Ducati is the superior bike on the grid, and you've got to give credit to Ducati for that.
Exactly.
And the teams that are running them, they're doing their best to dominate and to do well, and they've done a fantastic job, better than the other manufacturers. But in the interests of keeping things tight and exciting and drawing the crowds in, which is what Stuart Higgs is wanting at the end of the day,
and he does a very good job at that.
Oh yeah,
it's a bit like right, Chrissy Rouse's own opinion right now. What's going to have to be done for your dream there? Not what Stuart Higgs is going to do. This is what, if you were Stuart Higgs right now, what would you do?
I've got to be honest. I don't know enough about it, the technical regulations, to give an informed opinion on that. But
would you bring a brake horsepower limit in?
Probably not.
I'm
probably not brake horsepower. Somebody who's technically minded would be able to examine. Like Scott Smart does it for World Superbikes. He looks at all the.
He's our next guest. Let's get him in. Let's bring him into this dodgy caravan, and we're going to speak to the most intelligent man on the planet Earth, and we're going to rinse him.
Yeah, his job is to essentially look at all the different manufacturers, and if there is a runaway leader, then to sort of change the rules. So
which has happened
in World Superbikes, they did it with the rev limit. So they brought the rev limit down just to retard them a little bit, the Ducatis, to sort of allow the other manufacturers to catch up. But I really don't know. I like I said, I don't actually know much, that much about it myself. But just from watching the race, and that's what it appears to look like. So
yeah.
we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Obviously, the rules do get looked at and scrutinised after every season, and I'm sure that's one of the main things on Stuart Higgs' agenda. I'm sure to work out, because if it's a case of, for instance, if it's a case of Luke Stapleford buys himself a Ducati and he goes from, I haven't looked at the championship standings, but I'm guessing he'll be about 14th in the standings, around there, 14th, 15th. If he buys himself a Ducati and is on the podium all the time next year, then it sort of takes away a little bit about what BSB is all about in
Yeah.
my eyes. So we'll have to see.
Well, there's another thing. Like, I would love to know, right? If we're gonna, I tell you what, we need some genuine facts to give to the people here, all our listeners. We actually need to bring someone in, because that's our next.
Who knows what they're talking about?
Well, to put it blunt, yeah.
Yeah.
No, like the mad
we
thing
will.
is, it's a bit like the Ducatis don't work around the TT. But saying that, the fastest lap around the TT is Rutter at a 1:27 lap.
On a Ducati?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not being
That was
funny.
a fair few years ago. But
If you took a top TT rider and give them a Paul Bird Ducati, I am sure that would get annihilated.
but that's what I mean.
Mhm.
So,
But nobody runs them now,
Well,
do they?
you see, like, what I'm loving about this podcast is I'm starting to learn more the political side of it. You know, I'm asking more questions about why people are doing things and what's going on. And obviously there's people that know a lot more about this sport than me, you know, a lot more. But for some reason, someone like, but me, I feel like I ask you these questions. I think this is why this thing works, because you, like, you're in the BSB paddock and you understand, you're constantly in that environment, and you think, well, for someone looking outside, looking in, I've just asked the same questions most people have. Why aren't people taking Ducatis to the TT?
Oh, good question.
That's it. You know,
obviously
I would look at that and go, well, holy crap! And the TT, you know, the rules. Like you can run full track. You know, it's not like the BSB ruling where you have to run this, you have to run that. If you've got the cheddar in the back pocket, you can go, right, I want a full singing missile. Now, don't get me wrong. In the past, it hasn't proven always correct. Like Rutter turned up on that bike he's racing at Macau. You know, the Honda, well, the MotoGP bike Honda. Bruce Ansie's been round on one. Doesn't always work, but from someone looking outside on the end, you think, well, you know,
I think that's slightly different though, because I think it's more of a stiffish. It is like a MotoGP bike in terms of the chassis and stuff, which I don't think necessarily translates to being a big advantage on the roads.
Yeah, on the roads you need more forgiveness, but the Ducati.
You're saying about the Ducati at the TT. I think all the teams, you know, the main teams that go to the TT are established with their manufacturers. So, you know, Tiger with BMW, Bill Baser with Suzuki. You know, you've got the Honda team, the Norton team. There isn't a top Ducati team that goes. From a privateer's point of view, Ducati's going to be a massive expense, so you wouldn't be able to run one competitively. But
if there's anyone out there that would like to,
if you say before Paul Bird went to the Northwest with Glenn Irwin, the Ducatis weren't running at the Northwest, but when he turned up, Glenn Irwin absolutely annihilated everyone on that Ducati. It was by far
that's what I mean.
It was a missile.
Paul Bird can turn up and just go, let's have it.
Alistair Seeley didn't do the job on it this year, but I think that was more of
that was like the flea on the back of a bleeding rhino. That's what that was. The thing that was that quick.
I don't know if it was lack of experience on the bike or whatever, but for some reason it didn't really work for Seeley.
No.
And obviously Glenn Irwin won on the Kawasaki. But it would. I mean, that would be interesting if a top Ducati went to the TT. What would it be capable of? It's obviously a competitive bike, but you know, would it be any better than the Kawasaki and the BM? I really don't know. I don't know. But anyway, we started by talking about the BSB final, and we'll end up talking about road racing for half an hour.
This is the beauty of this. So anyway, let's get on to the main subject. Chrissy Rouse. I'm just over the moon you're sitting across from me, mate, because you didn't half get touched up by the bad luck fairy, didn't you?
I know.
I mean, mate, you need counselling after that how much you got touched up. Because first of all, let's talk about your scooter. What the, you know?
Yeah, well, I'll go through my race weekend. So all weekend it was dodgy weather. It had been raining, drying out. So all my practice sessions were. It had been wet, and then there was a drying line. And then the qualifying, it was starting to dry out, but it was still wet tyres, so it was a real dodgy session. I was second in the first practice, I think third in the second one. Then I qualified down in 8th, which I was a bit disappointed with. But then we had a dry warm-up session on Saturday evening, which was the first dry session we had of the weekend, and I was fastest, topped that session. So I went in the race.
How much by?
just a fraction, but
doesn't matter. You're top
Just a
of the sheet, top of the sheet, mate.
that's the one. So I went in the race dead confident, starting 8th position. I knew that if I got a good start and got away at the front, I had a good chance of winning the race or certainly getting a podium. But on the first lap, so I went up, down Paddock Hill, up to Druids, down to Graham Hill Bend, and as I was coming out of Graham Hill, I just seen the flying Finn. Do you know Emily Larty? He's a Finnish lad. He gave it a big handful coming out of Graham Hill.
The Finnish lad didn't finish.
And he was just flew like, he calls himself Superman, and he flew like Superman over honestly, mate, you've never seen anything like it. Then, after watching it and seeing it in person, then watching it on video, the fact that Emily Larty is still alive is an absolute miracle. Not just from the crash, because he had quite a spectacular crash, but then he landed in the middle of the track with, I think it was 33 of us coming around that corner. If you look at the pictures, Luke Jones is heading straight for his head, right? And Luke Jones on his Ducati, instead of running him over, Luke Jones locked up the front wheel and tucked the front and essentially laid his bike down, and it protected, and it sort of
saved the man's life.
It protected Larty. It allowed like a protective cushion. So Larty was lying on the track, sort of tucked in behind Luke Jones's bike. When Luke Jones took the front and went down, he got ran over. His legs clean ran over, so he's got a broken leg. I then came round and I had nowhere to go, so I hit Luke Jones's bike, and the bike went over the top of Luke Jones's Ducati, and it skimmed Larty's head. So honestly, mate, I can't explain how lucky Larty's been. So my bike jumped, and obviously I crashed. And then at the time, I was thinking, I can't believe I've crashed, and like I started rolling, and it hadn't even occurred to us like the bike's behind. I was so focused on that race that when I hit the ground, it didn't even cross my mind that there was bikes behind. I was just that annoyed that I'd crashed. And then as I started tumbling,
30-odd people coming out.
As I started tumbling, I turned round, and all I could see was just bikes everywhere, all aiming towards me. And the first few, Andy Reid clipped it, didn't touch us, but he just skimmed us. Then there was, who was it? Rob McNeely, I think, just clipped us. Then George Stanley, and it was just literally like all and I stood up, and then obviously you like, it's like dodgems, you're trying to find a gap, and I managed to run to safety. And like I say, obviously Luke Jones broke his leg, but he's stable, he's okay. And
Brilliant.
Larty broke his wrist and his ankle, and again is stable. But honestly, if you look at those pictures,
all I saw was there was a video of you. Haven't seen any of the BSB this weekend, but obviously you know the power of social media, and all I saw was a side view through a chain link fence, and just saw you it just happened like that. Obviously, I haven't seen. Is there photos? Is there? Oh, we're looking up here. I don't think this one's getting on YouTube. We've had a technical difficulty.
put your foot on there, because that's what's on me.
Oh, you see, it's getting the blame game. Yeah, I'm stretching out, and I'm the one getting the blame. I see how it is, Chrissy. No room for comfort at chasing the race. Yeah.
So, where we're at?
Where we at? The fact that you're bloody lucky.
And then so obviously I was lucky, and then the other two lads, you know, they're okay.
Well, that's it. In this sport, you know, the fact that an injury is an injury, you know, and obviously it can go considerably worse than that in this sport. And you know, so thank God you're all you're still here.
Yeah,
all of you. That's the main thing.
And then I didn't even think about the race getting red flagged. I just thought that we'd crashed out and the race was going to continue. So I ran. I got to safety, and as I was walking away, really angry, I spied out the corner of my eye a red flag. So I thought, I might be able to get the bike back. So I ran down, took the bike off the marshals. The marshals didn't want to let go of the bike, but I was going, leave, it's been red flagged, it's fine, give us me bike. So got the bike, and then a couple of the lads, lads I know, Alan Towell and Peter and a few others, just ran down and helped us push my bike back to the garage, which was at the top of the pit lane. Got the bike back, it was covered in mud, like it was a fair bit of damage for a little crash. And parked it up, and at first it was there was a bit of like confusion, and it was like it wasn't immediately obvious that we were going to try and get the bike back out for the race, but Piggy just quickly got a spanner.
All hail Piggy!
See what the damage was, and he went straight for the foot pegs, and then there was the handlebar, and after about 5 minutes we realised that the front wheel had a massive buckle in where I'd hit the rider in front, and the tyre was sliced. So we had a fair bit of work to do. So Piggy got on with the footrest, and one of we were next to the scrutineering bay. One of the scrutineers came and started working on it. And at the time, my team boss didn't think we were going to get out, and he just said, "You're wasting your time. Like you definitely won't be getting out." But Pete just carried on working and got the footrest on, and then as the bikes went back out, my crew chief Chris went and got a new handlebar, and I think deep down the team didn't think we were going to get back out, and it was actually the scrutineer that was just going, keep going, like you never know, it might get red flagged or whatever. So we just kept working. Well, obviously you're not allowed to put a new front tyre on because you're only allowed to use 3 front tyres. Yeah, allocation. So we had to put an old front tyre on from free practice 2, but it obviously you would never have it on a warmer ready because you would never use it. So it was stone cold. So we got that front wheel in. Les got that in. So, and as a team effort, we put the thing back together, brushed the mud off, and as I think they were nowhere near finished, and the bikes lined up for the grid. They did the sighting lap, and then they all lined up. And as they were lining up for the grid, I didn't even have a handlebar on, and I thought, oh,
that's it.
That's it.
2019
that's
gone.
2019 gone. So I started taking my helmet off, and I was really, really gutted. And then all of a sudden, I just heard, start delayed, and that never ever happens. Like in the racing that I do, starts. It's just such a rare occasion,
That's
right?
such a well-run event. It just goes and goes and goes, yeah.
Lewis Rollo had stalled on the grid.
Never.
So they had to restart. So they had to do another warm-up lap. So I put my helmet back on. And I was like, lads. So we literally had 2 minutes. So Chris got the handlebar on. Pete finished the side. We got the bike ready, brushed off the mud, and I set off down pit lane. And when I set off, I hadn't done the bars properly. So I had my right bar normal, my left bar was all in like that, and like the screen seemed all dodgy. It was just
cold front tyre.
Yeah, cold front tyre, and I obviously had to start from pit lane. So got to pit lane. The marshal puts his hand on your screen and says, "Right, when I let go, you can set off." So
hold on. Do you get a warm-up lap at this point, or do you
go
straight into the race? Cold tyre.
Yeah. Down Paddock Hill Bend. So anyway, the whole pack comes past, and then the last person goes, and then he takes his hand off, and I set away after them, but obviously cold front tyre. So first few corners, I didn't even get my knee down because obviously
steady
just crash. Yeah. So first few corners, I was like really tentative, and then you go round 30s, and then you go flying down the back straight, 160 mile an hour, and then you hit the brakes, and you go into like a fast right-hander. And I sort of, obviously, corner by corner, I was...
You're going, please, grip. What was the temperature down there? So it would have been cold down there. It was cold, yeah. So you want a cold tyre on a cold track.
Yeah, so it was just...
Today's my day, Billy Big Balls, woof.
Easing into it, and after the first lap, I'd pretty much caught up with the pack, so like last position. So I came round on the first lap in 32nd position. And then from then, it was a reduced race, so it was supposed to be 14 laps. It was down to 11. And then from then, I just picked off every lap. First lap, I was 10 seconds behind the leader. And then by the end of the race, I was only 15 seconds behind the leader. Bear in mind, I had a cold tyre, and I had to work my way through the pack.
And half a ton of gravel in your belly pan.
It was full of mud, aye. So yeah, it was just every lap, just picking the riders off. I'd probably overtaken... After a few laps, I'd overtaken like 7 riders, and I seen P25 on my board. I was like, oh man.
When's the last time you saw P25?
A while ago.
A while ago.
Anyway, so I just worked my way up, and then I think a few laps from the finish, I got into the points, and I was like, yes. But to get fourth in the championship, I needed 3 points. So I needed to finish 13th position. So I picked them off, and then a couple of laps from the end, I could see Andy Reid on the Tygo BMW and Michael Rutter on the Bathams BMW ahead, and I just aimed and I caught and passed Reedy on the second last lap, and then on the last lap I got behind Michael Rutter and passed him into Sterling's, I think it's called. Passed him into Sterling's, crossed the line, 11th position, and I was 5 points and managed to get fourth in the championship. So the aim going into that weekend was to get fourth in the championship, and mate, would like. The string of events that led to that, it was just ridiculous. Obviously, the crash, lucky not to get hit, to get the bike back fixed, the start to get delayed. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to. It was, do you know what I mean? It's
what
just
was
one
his
thing
name?
after
Rollo.
the other. Rollo. I owe him a beer, don't I?
You definitely owe him a couple of beers. There you go. Bloody hell. Well done, son.
But, I've got so many people to thank along the way for pushing my bike back, for helping us get the bike fixed, getting
Piggy
us back
for
out.
holding the line. Churchill will be proud of you, son. I know you're listening. Churchill will be proud.
Every one of the people that helped, I really
totally,
do appreciate it, because in the heat of the moment, you're so focused on just getting your bike back that I might not have stopped and thanked them like I should have, but I was just so focused.
And that'll hold you in massively good stead. You and obviously the team as well, but that never say die attitude says a lot, and a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people just can't screw it, and it's obviously the willingness to power on, my good boy. That's how we won the war. We won the war twice with that attitude. Twice. World War I and II.
Well, that's it.
Damn right. Chris,
it was
front line of Chrissy Rouses. That's what we like to hear.
It was a test of determination, but we dug deep and we managed to get the result that we needed. So yeah, like you say, it was all good. I see you've got your new Daytona boots,
mate. I'm over the moon. I'm just bedding them in. Look at them puppies. That's why, honestly, I look like a desperate housewife. I've got my hairy little legs out. I'm just walking around bedding in boots.
I've wore Daytonas for about 4 years now, and they take a little bit of getting used to, because they're so protective that you can't actually feel much, like your front brake, your back brake, and
absolutely, they're taking some bedding in, like you say. But no, well, thanks to you, Chrissy, because obviously I've got no guts to ask for sponsorship, but you obviously kindly put a word in for us.
Handmade in Germany. And have you seen the price of them if you buy them full?
Oh, these have been my dream boot, but there's not enough trees to cut down for them, so I'm over the bloody moon, man. Over the moon.
I think if you buy them full price through the UK importer, they come to about 1,400 quid, which if you think for a pair of boots. But you kind of put a price on your feet, and like I say, they are by far the best. I mean,
whoop! The studio's falling apart. Here we are. No, but
I think I've got my pink ones here, and they're amazing boots. I actually put a little
check out that number.
Put a little slider on mine, just on the top there. Just
that looks pretty good. That
going around the corners, because otherwise I wear the boot away. But for those that haven't seen, you've got like Daytona boots that look like a bit of a welly, don't they? They are essentially a leather welly on the outside, but the support actually comes from the inside, which
is quite difficult to get out, but it's worth doing.
Yeah. So on the inside, there's for those that are watching the YouTube video, you'll be able to see this demonstration. But it's an inside. Inside the boot, you've got this. Is it Kevlar?
It's a Kevlar wrap around the side. So the idea is, as you explained to me when you told me about the boots, it takes away the left to right movement where most ankle injuries occur. So, but you get the range up and down. Chris, we're like a shopping channel right now on YouTube here. This is mint. So, but like you say, you can actually feel the rigidity, especially in the back of the heel.
Yeah.
So if you go cartwheeling, you're gonna smash in the back of your heel. It's not fun at all.
Yeah, and they are literally, like I've seen lads get the feet and lower legs ran over with Daytonas on, and they've been absolutely fine. They're an amazing boot.
But it just like in itself, you could go riding with just that on its own. But you see, like the way they go on, they've actually got like a built-in shin pad into them as well. It's just they are far from half-arse, and the fact that the hand built in Germany, it says a lot about the product. So, Chrissy, thank you very much, and thank you very much, Daytona Boots, for sponsoring. You're essentially sponsoring Chasing the Race. So God love you, God love you. But anyway, Chrissy, we're divulging here yet again. That's something I would do here. But Chrissy, Well done, son. Absolutely amazing season. You have gone through some absolute shite and some little buggers to nick your scooter as well. What's all that about?
I woke up on race day and my scooter had gone, and so obviously I rang security, rang the police, and since then I put a thing on Facebook, Twitter and all that, shared it. I've had a few people get in touch. The little knackers were out on it on the main road on Sunday. So after the racing, these
they're two knackers.
Well, when it got nicked, there was actually 4 of them that nicked it, and the 4 of them got on it and rode it away, up to near the hotel, and then they've been out on it on the main road wearing balaclavas, no helmets, and I think there was an incident. I think somebody on a nicked bike, like a moped, actually had a crash without a helmet on. So it could have been on my ped, I'm not sure. Outside Brandon, and caused havoc for people getting out with the traffic. But I've been in touch with Kent Police, and I think it has been found set on fire in a bush. The police haven't actually been out to locate it yet, so I'm just waiting to find out. But obviously it's not insured.
You know that rumour mill we were talking about. There's a rumour flying around that it's all an insurance scam for you. You know, I hear
insured,
I hear you've had Emily nick it, ride round with a balaclava on and set fire to it, so you can get your money in for next season. But Chrissy, I'm not going to dob you in it. No one will grass you. Don't worry.
Do you know when you think of, it wasn't massive money. I paid 500 quid for it, and then I paid 200 quid to get it like a nice paint job, and it looked Mickey Kirkup did it. It looked great, and like I took a bit of pride in having a nice scooter to get around.
It's your scooter, yeah.
And I really needed it on Sunday as well. I had sponsors coming. I was up and down the paddock. I had to be everywhere, and so I'm going down to race. Going through the muddy field. I took my push bike as a plan B, but it's not the point. And I was really gutted, but. The problem is, it's a close-knit community, the bike racing, and you feel like you trust. Everyone's got thousands and thousands of pounds lying around the paddock, so you sort of have an inbuilt trust amongst everyone. But it just takes one knacker, not even from inside the paddock, just someone like a local person or somebody just to pop in
and just ruin that
trust. So it is disappointing, but
for everyone in the paddock, be vigilant, be safe, and carry a bat.
Yeah, that's it. And did you hear about all the tyres getting nicked as well?
Something to do with a suspension guy.
Careful what you say, because
this is the rumour mill.
Yeah, you've got to be careful with these rumour mills. It was the tyres were found in a Mupo suspension van, but as a disclaimer, Dave from Mupo Suspension wasn't even at Brands. It had nothing to do with him.
Well, glad to clear that up then. There we are.
They were found actually in, do you know Jonathan Lodge?
No.
They were found it was Jonathan Lodge who had the tyres. However, I know he's been getting a lot of verbal abuse on the old Facebook and Twitter.
Right.
The story I've heard is that he bought them in good faith from somebody. So he bought a job lot of cheap scrubs off somebody, and then somebody's nicked them and sold them to him. But
right.
I really don't know enough about it.
That's like you say, it's the rumour mill. This whole thing's a rumour mill. But you see, like I wasn't even there, and it's amazing. You see,
but the main point of it obviously is the fact that things are getting stolen around the paddock, and it's absolutely shit. I know James Henry was one of the lads. These lads are relying on selling the scrubs to pay for the new tyres.
Exactly.
And for some scumbag to be going around stealing them from riders is absolutely shite. And
it does put it down on you. You feel actually. I had my Land Rover set fire on my drive. Like, I'm not waiting
for a joke.
No. Honestly,
your Land Rover.
Yeah, no. I used to work for a major firm and parked the Land Rover on the drive, and they popped in the back of it, like nicked me gear. Like, 'cause obviously I stripped my gear, I take my gear out the van, but obviously they took a pop chance at me van. But obviously one of the lads have cut their arm because the bit of glass, it was like just blacked out glass. You're like, wait, you're thinking. Anyway, so they've popped it out, they've put it on the grass, and they set fire to it. Look, if it wasn't windy, I obviously live on an estate, and it could have carried on going. Absolutely. And you do, you know what I mean? See, it's just stuff, but you do think.
I actually got into road racing from having my motocross bike nicked from my garage here at home.
You were saying, what's going on? Uh-oh.
I don't know what that is.
Are we still recording?
No. Oh, it's the
Anyway, GoPro's failed, so this isn't on YouTube. So our lovely Daytona demonstration isn't happening. But anyway, sorry, you were saying, son.
I actually got into road racing because my motocross bike got nicked from my family home, and
yes,
that led to
tarmac.
To tarmac racing. Yeah,
there we are.
It was at the time it was the worst thing that happened, but obviously it turned out to be a great thing. But yeah, that sort of finishes our BSB crack. What about the TT0 race getting cancelled? Do you know much about that? What's your opinion?
To be honest, it's a case of it's been kicked in the touch, and obviously I know it's just been kicked in the touch. I haven't actually read the article yet. I work for a living, so I haven't got time to read these things. But it's a case of why is it being scrubbed? Do you know why it's been scrubbed? It's a 2 year. It's a 2 year absence. So the idea is to taking a step back for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But is that because of entries? Is that because of money? Is that because of...
I'm not 100% sure myself, but I'm guessing that over the last few years, obviously the TT0 race, well, the TT have struggled themselves for getting the dry track time, and when they have had dry track time, which is in short supply, they've had to put the TT0 out for some of it.
Yeah, because they have to qualify, because people do turn up just for that race.
And in terms of the fans who have turned up to watch, the TT0 race or qualifying or whatever will take, like, say, an hour and a half, and the people at the side of the road are watching six, 7 bikes come past at best. So from a spectator's point of view, is that hour and a half in the middle of race day or in race week, is it worth that for the spectators? And maybe they've come up with a decision that they haven't got the numbers right now, so maybe give it a few more years where they can develop the bikes further away from the TT. I think they're having a similar sort of race at the TT, but at a different time of the year or something. So the people who are involved will still get a chance to develop the technology.
Yes,
which you can obviously see the logic behind it.
It is the future, but right now I think we're all just a bunch of fossil burning petrol heads, aren't we? So
yeah. And
long may that last.
Yeah,
I hope I'm in the ground before electric bikes fully take over. I hope I'm firmly biodegrading away there. Well, barely. I've drank a lot of alcohol, so I'm pretty much a chemical hazard. Let's face it. There we are.
So from now, obviously, you're going down the country to get your bikes and going over the Sunflower. What you racing over the weekend?
I'm racing. It's the bike I won the Enniskillen 100 races on. The bike belongs to a lad called RJ Woolsey. It's obviously the older shape bike. I'm racing.
Is that the ex-Ryan Farquhar one?
It was the ex-Ryan Farquhar bike, but a fair few years ago. Obviously, the twin class it's a development class in itself, and even now it's still taking massive leaps forward. So even a bike that you had 2 years ago is totally obsolete.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally obsolete. You can put new cranks in them. You can do this. You can do that. But no, I'm thoroughly looking forward to. Obviously, the Irish lot there. They want me back over. It's a case of it's been a year since I've lost my finger. Touch wood, and it's a case of you fall off the horse, you want to get back on it, and I'm thoroughly looking forward to getting back there. To put it blunt, I'm very grateful to RJ Woolsey, but I don't think the bike's quite up to Jeremy McWilliams' Ryan Farquhar machine.
Right. Oh, is Jeremy racing this weekend?
He's racing, so some serious pedigree. That's it. So my idea is I'm just going to psych him out with some eyebrow staring. When he really what's going on, Cupcake? What's your crack?
So you've got Jeremy McWilliams. Any other top riders?
Yeah, there are, but I'm rubbish at remembering names. So there's some fast lads there.
What about in the main class? Obviously, Cooper's going over, I think.
Danny Buchan, Chrissy and Dom going. I think he's lap record holder there, I believe. The entries are quite down this year.
Right, okay.
Glenn Irwin's not turning up because obviously we don't know what he's doing at the moment.
I think his other brother Ross is racing this
I think
weekend. Ross
is going, yeah. Is he the youngest one on the 600?
I think he's the oldest one.
Is he?
I think so.
My God, there's obviously not much happening in Carrickfergus or whatever they are. Obviously nothing much on the telly. Lots of brothers there. So, no, about that. Obviously off to there. Then in a couple of weeks, off to China to race around Macau, but obviously we'll squeeze in a podcast before then. Which is
and I tell you what, before we shoot, I think our jokes were quite popular last week. Have you got any?
My whole life's a joke. There you go, man. But I tell you what, I did see the other day. Right, was a couple of lads down the street. Yeah, right. I was coming on the way to yours. And a couple of lads were getting arrested. So anyway, like I say, I'm on the way to yours, and I'm thinking, oh, what's going on here? And I know, what's the crack with these two? Gans, wait, we've pulled them in. I've gone, well, what's the crack? He goes, well, one of them was drinking battery acid, and the other one was eating fireworks. I'm going, well, what are you going to do? He goes, well, we've charged one of them, and we've let the other one off. Hey, that's Piggy's, that one. That's 100% Piggy, that. 100% Piggy. Piggy's corner here. Piggy's corner. Oh, you've been thinking about this the entire podcast, haven't you? Go on then. What's your one?
I've got this little cousin, Jimmy. He's only 6, and he's just been given they're doing like a school play at the little primary school down in the village.
Aye.
And he's been given the role of he's playing a married man. Obviously, his parents are absolutely devastated. They were hoping he was going to get a speaking part.
Oh, how weird, man. Right, anyway, we're going to have to stop with these jokes. We're totally downplaying them.
I forgot to tell you, actually, I was doing a track walk at Brands. And,
is this a joke or
no,
here we go, right.
We
don't know how to take this.
And one of the marshals, one of the lovely marshals there, came running over and said, you're going to have to stop with these jokes. My partner thinks he's a comedian in the clubhouse. He's been reciting another long legs joke.
Oh my God.
He's telling everyone that joke. But a little shout out for them lovely marshals. We need to sort of marshal.
We need to sort a lot out. We need more competitions. We need to do more of this. We need to do more of that. But hey, we've got a whole shitty winner to do it all. I hate the winner.
I know.
Gets me down.
I tell you what, you've just reminded us. We've got a competition. I've sorted a competition for this podcast out,
right?
And if you I'll post this out on Facebook and Twitter, and if somebody you retweet it or share it on Facebook, for a chance to win 2 tickets to the motorcycle live show at the NEC this year.
Are you going down?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What day are you going?
We've got 2 tickets courtesy of NGK Spark Plugs to hand out. So, like I say, you just need to share this on Twitter or Facebook, or also if you go on Spotify on your phone and you go on to the podcast, you can press share and you can see it says Facebook Stories. Instagram Stories, sorry. If you click that, it comes up. It's like a professional way of doing it. So if you go Spotify, share, and then you go Instagram Stories, you can share this podcast. So do that for a chance to win. Obviously tag us in so we'll see it, and I'll choose one lucky winner for 2 tickets to Motorcycle Live, which is, I think it's sometime in November.
Awesome.
Something like that.
There we go.
But big thanks to our sponsors, our loyal sponsors, Incontango Training and
God love yous.
KRG Motorcycles. So huge thanks to them. And obviously best of luck this weekend over at the Sunflower. Hope you bring back some silverware and get yourself nicely bedded in, ready for China.
China.
Thanks for listening.
Well done, Chrissy. Well done on your 2019 British campaign, by the way, from me and our listeners. There we are.
Much.
Very well done, son. Very proud.
Spot on. We'll have a safe trip down the country tonight, and we'll look forward to catching up next week.
Oh, grand. See you later, son.
Cheers, mate. See you later.